Hi guys, Fiona here.
Jess here.
And we are talking about one of Jess's and Steve's favourite topics. What are we talking about today, Jess?
PPE.
PPE. So for those new to the game, personal protective equipment. When we go back to the hierarchy of control, the least effective. However, you'll need it on the daily. So Jess and I are going to go through some of our PPE that we use every day on the job. There are hundreds of different kinds of PPE, but we're going to take you through the types of things that we actually use. Jess, take it away outside to inside.
Alrighty, so from here we have earmuffs, obviously for ear protection when you're using loud equipment.
Yeah.
And a hard hat. These are normally used on job sites for builders cleans and things like that while they're still during construction to protect your head.
But on the inside of a hard hat says when it was manufactured, says when it needs to be replaced. It's actually like a use by date. It also says the Australian standard on the inside and some rules which are really handy to read. If you drop a hard hat, whoops, you actually wouldn't use that again, okay? So even a drop from waist height can compromise the durability of your hard hat. You see it fly out of the ute or anything like that, you shouldn't be using it. It should be adjusted for your head, and really important, guys, wear it as prescribed. Don't be too cool for school and get a head injury, okay?
Next we have high vis. This is a work shirt mainly to be seen.
Yeah, so high vis is short for high visibility. When we're cleaning, we're moving around a lot. We can be taking the bins out to the car park. Another high visibility that we've got on here, which is more common and I suggest for $8 from Bunnings, that you buy yourself one, is the high vis vest. I can look out the car park window here when the girls are taking the bins out of a night time and I do not see their bodies. I can see the yellow of the bin, but I can't see the person. So high vis vest could save your life, guys.
Next we have shoe covers. These shoe covers, also known as booties, normally used when doing carpet cleans so that when you're walking back over the floor you're not leaving marks.
Yeah, we use these at porters and squalors cleans where you've got dog feces or some gross stuff. So having some of these in your car just as a cleaner would be handy.
Yep. Protecting your shoes from disease or marking the floors.
Yep, and cross-contaminating your next clean.
Next we have protective footwear, which these ones have steel cap at the toe, protecting your feet, and they're also leather so that if you're spilling any hot water from your mop bucket, it's not going through to your feet. And they're not too heavy actually.
They're not too bad, those ones. Yeah. These are Blundstones, but they've also got the non-slip rubber sole. And again, really good PPE will have when it was manufactured on the bottom. Something I do like about these is they're comfortable like a shoe, durable like a boot. I see a lot of cleaners in Converse, slippery shoes that are really bad for arch support. You want to be cleaning for a long time. Don't cheap out on your shoes. Get a really good pair of shoes in June and put it on your tax. But these PPE items, they could save a foot, for example.
Absolutely. Next up we have some goggles, protective eyewear. These ones are protective not just to the front of your eyes but also the sides as well, and they're breathable so you're not going to fog up when you're looking.
I really like these
cleaning.
Because if you are actually going to hurt yourself, if you're actually going to get something in your eye, it's going to be a splash of chemical. It's not going to be a little bit of something. The safety glasses that are more like a pair of sunglasses, I don't believe protect from a great deal.
Still gets in and around.
The other reason I love these is when you are on a clean, on a builder's clean or whatnot, and you're looking up and you're cobwebbing, these you don't see the line of the glasses. Yeah. You can actually get full visibility to the job that you're doing, and they're actually like movable. I really like them. Yeah, they're a good one.
Alrighty, next up we have disposable gloves. These are used in your everyday clean. They're disposable, so once you are finished cleaning, they go straight into the bin. They're for cleaning bathrooms and when you're going to be touching chemical in toilets.
And just while we're on these ones, you'll notice that there are lots of different kinds of gloves, but these actually I don't love because they are a little thin and they make you have to double glove all the time. They rip easily. So when you are looking at a cheaper glove that's like quite easy to pull, just do a double glove situation or even a triple glove situation. what that means is that you can clean the surface that you're cleaning. You don't want to touch the outside of the glove, so you're actually coming in and under to pull your glove off, like so. And then that's clean, so that can go in the bin and you can keep cleaning. So you don't have to keep changing gloves all the time or wash your hands all the time. And then just again going in underneath, because now technically that glove is clean. You will struggle to get them back on again. So if you pull a clean glove off, please don't think you're going to be able to put your hands in them again. The powder that's on the inside of those can irritate your hands. So something we don't have here that I do recommend is a bit of barrier cream.
Yep, you can get powderless ones if your skin reacts to the powder. There's also thicker black ones that you can get as well if you need something, if you're finding these are breaking too easily.
Yeah. What would you use the tongs for, Jess?
Ooh. The tongs are used for picking up, which will bring me to this one, needles. If you're on a squatter or a squaller or hoarder's clean, where there's items that you need to pick up that are sharp and you need to put them straight into a sharps container, this is where
they're amazing. They're actually really, really cool too as a cleaner to carry those to scoop behind the toilets. When you go to clean the back of a toilet and you get your hand down in there, I've found quite a few nasty things in there over the years. So I used to just take a pair of tongs and scoop through there. You can also wrap your cloth around, do a spray and get behind that little crevice. But I do love them for sharps disposal. I don't know what's in this one, but we do actually have it's a pretend syringe, but you'll notice in the sharp disposals, they're designed for the item to not come out, which is very cool. So these are only a couple of dollars from a chemist.
Yep. So that's there's a few different types as well. There's bigger, medium, and there's a small black box for needles that have chemical in them and being used. All right, next we have a protective suit.
Now this one here is just, they're called a coverall, sperm suit, protective suit. These are great for, you're probably going to be mostly using these on things like mold cleans, where the item that's in the house could get on you. We use these for squallers, hoarders. You might use them pandemic cleans, deep cleans. After maybe your preschool's had gastro and you've been sent in to clean, you don't want to take what's in that building home to your family. So the idea is that whatever bacteria you're kind of cleaning or whatever sticks to the suit comes off. But you need to take it off very similar to the glove, where you're peeling it off so that the clean is staying clean. These I bought recently actually after we had a cleaner who was doing quite a bit of work that was sort of down low, depending on the specifics of the job. I'd be concerned you're spending too much time on your knees if you had to use these regularly, and just in that position you can hurt your back. I'd be extension poles and things first, but these are quite handy when you've got a really rough surface as well.
Or a bond clean where you're doing grout on the floor.
Bond clean, yeah.
Alrighty, next we have masks. This is there's quite an intense one that you'll probably mainly use in an area where there's lots and lots of dust. For example, a builder's clean, where you don't want the dust coming through the mask, like a thinner one, like these ones. Where else do you think that you would use something like this, Fiona?
I've seen people use them for ovens. I actually find them a little bit ineffective, to be honest. It all depends on this plastic seal being really tight around your face. And unless you're putting like a Vaseline or something on there, it's actually not going to suck onto your face. So you actually have to either wet that or lick it or put Vaseline on it. I don't find that they get the seal. So with that one in particular, even when it's crammed up on my face,
still gaps.
There's a gap. So this has to come up and over, and that actually has to be quite tight to get the proper seal. Where I would wear that in an oven clean. I've worn them a couple of times. When you get the proper seal, they're great, but you'll notice it's got this clip too, which is supposed to come up and around the back to really hold it snug. So this one goes up and over, and then this one is supposed to come
back and around the neck. Yeah.
And that, I can't talk with that. It pulls that in tight. So if you're not going to wear it properly, it's probably a waste of money.
Yeah.
The other thing to be mindful of is these are the filter. So they pop on and off. And there's usually one that'll be in the center there. Yeah. So these filters here are really quite expensive and they're graded. So unless you're going to use the right ones and be really across it, I don't necessarily buy these because I also don't really like my cleaners to be in a place where they're their
Chemicals
kneading
so
one.
harsh that, yeah.
But you'll also notice it's already started to break away, and I've only used this for demonstrating, so they're a bit fiddly, but there are times and circumstances where you'd need those. Maybe like when they're doing big bleaching in an abattoir and you've got the combination of hot water and bleach fumes, you would have something like that.
Yeah, but these ones are the thinner
Dust masks.
used. Yeah.
Yep. But again,
We also use them on squat.
we use those, yeah. So what we sometimes use these for is actually, they're not super protectant, but we put a drop of essential oil in there or something. Someone can have a chewing gum or a peppermint. It's for when you go into places that the stench is a little thick, that you put that on. But you do have to make sure you pinch the nose piece, otherwise again, fitting it's really important. I don't love those ones, but they're a necessary component.
Yep. All right, next up we have a couple of different types of rubber gloves. This one here, they are, similar to your latex, but they're much thicker and they're a fabric, which means you can use them again, and they've got a grippy palm as well.
I like these. They are not water resistant. You'll find they get a little bit wet, so you'd wear a normal glove under. I really like these for rubbish removal, stuff like that, because you can still feel
holding a water-fed pole.
Yeah.
So you can go,
The thicker the glove gets, the less you can feel the fingers.
It's true.
Oven cleaning gloves.
Yep.
These are a disposable. I wouldn't really be using these 2 or 3 times. No. They're kind of, they get a bit yucky. But again, what I do like about these gloves is they're a little higher on the wrist. The other ones that we've got, they don't seem to protect that part of your
So when you are reaching into an oven and you kind of, I found with the smaller gloves you were getting
a burn.
On your wrist because you're in the oven.
And lastly, the red chemical resistant ones. Now, I don't like these because I don't feel like the ratio to my hand is right. I can't grab things properly. It's like they're a size and a half too big on that side. You just don't have the grip. I don't know in what circumstances you would probably use these, because whatever you're using, it's obviously dangerous, but you can't tip it or pour it because you can't feel.
There's still no control, even just using, like wearing them to use the tools.
Yeah, I'd be actually probably doing like if I had to wear that, I'd probably do like I'd try to fill the glove out somehow to make the gap. Like you could improvise.
That feel better?
It's better, but it's not great. It's actually like they're just a little bit too thick and long, and then this is the problem. You'd almost, if I actually had to wear these, I'd probably take that. And
you don't want it falling off
No.
mid carrying something dangerous.
No. All right, so Jess, little bit of fun. Let's see if Jess knows her PPE, everyone.
Cool.
Okay, so Jess, you are a cleaner, okay?
Yes.
In a really noisy environment.
Okay.
Select your PPE as I talk.
Oh, sorry.
You're right.
It's noisy.
Yes. It's dark and you're gonna have to take the bins out in the dark.
I can't hear you.
That's right. Just put them around.
So these will be on my ears. It's dark.
Yeah.
I reckon this one.
You got to take the bins out. All right.
Oh, bins, I need gloves. I'm going to go with these ones.
Okay.
What else do we do?
Now, to add a layer of interesting layer to this job, the bins you're taking out are actually the way that you have to take them out through the loading dock and through the cutting yard of an abattoir means that you don't want to track debris back in. Booties!
I love booties.
Yay!
And it's such a cool word too.
So what's happening here is we're just getting Jess to think about her job and the environment and the layers of protection that she might need. So just thinking about, okay, I've got to go from A to B, but I've also got to come back through that area. I might interact with people. What happens if the bag spills? I might take a second bag. It's starting to think about your personal protection.
In the cutting yard, am I going to go past machinery?
Yeah.
All right, then I think I might need a hard hat.
Yeah. So just thinking about your safety. And to be honest, you are safety, Steve. There's no such thing as too much PPE unless you're inhibiting your job. Okay, nicely done. Okay, my turn.
All right.
What sort of job have I got?
You are going to go on a squatter's clean.
Okay. Gross, but thanks. Okay. Yep. I think I'm...
There are lots of dangerous items around.
Okay.
So coverall to protect her clothing and to not walk out and take anything home that she finds on site. Squatters clean dangerous items.
All right, I'm actually gonna double booty.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna put them there for in a minute.
Sure.
A lot of dangerous items. Yep. I'm gonna do some plastic gloves underneath my rigger's gloves. And in this instance, I probably would actually take my gloves on. You do that for mold cleans as well. Take your gloves on. Okay, what else have I got?
So there's dangerous goods.
Yep.
You also, there's going to be sharps as well.
You know what? I'm going in with it all. I'm going to have a mask and I'm going to have my tongs for my sharps.
Looking great.
Thank you. So in reality, you actually do wear all of that PPE when you first go into a hoarders or a squatters or something like that. We tend to get all of the rubbish out. We go in and we vacuum the entire property. We spray it with disinfectant, and then you can take some of these layers off. Because what people don't realise is sometimes we can introduce a risk or a hazard by wearing PPE. So one of the hazards or the risks that I've just introduced is getting hot and itchy, and we actually have a lot of cleaners that put this whole kit on and then they're like, oh, I feel like I'm hyperventilating. So you have to be aware that PPE is introducing something to your environment. So when you're wearing it, you need to remember that you need to also think about how that thing's going to be used and keeping you safe. But this is just an introduction to the types of PPE. When you're thinking about doing the job that you've been asked to do at work, hopefully your safe work method statement and your standard operating procedures have the PPE that you should use. Lastly, we're just going to talk about the first aid boxes.
There's a couple different ones here. These, we like to give our cleaners one in their kit.
Yeah, we like them to have one in their cars. Normally, it's an obligation of a workplace to have one. So as a cleaner, one of the first things you should make it your business to know is where's the first aid kit located. What's in it is usually quite basic, but a little tip is figure out how to get into it. Yeah. I am still surprised at some of the buildings that we go into.
They've got keys to get into the first
You can't get into the first aid box. So if you hurt yourself, you're in a bit of strife. But just making yourself familiar with some of the basics that are in there. If somebody does have a burn or a cut or something like that, what you've got in there, there's usually some resuscitation basics, but I really do encourage you to just be aware of where the first aid box is located
and who your point of call is.
Thanks, guys.